Hi everyone, it's the Sandman, just checking in with another video. This time I'd like to tell you a story. I know some of the other YouTubers I watch like to tell stories, and so let's give it a shot. I'll tell you a story from my background. So as you most likely know, I do security, but I also have a background in emergency medical services. So this particular story is about the EMS field. So I was coming back south from a call that I had that was very late. It was way up north. It was a transport, and so I was coming south. It was very, very late. It was around 4 or 5 in the morning. So I was driving southbound on the interstate on a divided highway, so two sides of the interstate, and in the distance I could see a very large fire. It just looked like a huge bonfire. And so I wasn't sure what was going on. I wasn't sure if it was a structure fire along the side of the highway or what. That's what it looked like initially. And so I continued to proceed with caution. As I got closer, I was able to see that the fire was actually originating from a tractor trailer that had rolled over. So the tractor trailer was on its side, and the entire cab, the tractor part, was on fire. The trailer part was blocking almost all of the southbound side of the interstate. The northbound side was still mostly clear, but traffic was very slow moving. So what I could see as I was getting closer to the scene was that there was really only space on the shoulder of the southbound side to go around this tractor trailer, but it was very unsafe because the tractor trailer, as I said, was on fire. It was just smoldering. And my initial impression was that I need to secure this scene, because what I was initially observing was that cars were driving on the shoulder around the tractor trailer that was on fire to try to get to the nearest exit, because they figured that the highway was going to be shut down for this fire to be extinguished. So I didn't want any people to potentially be harmed by this fire, because also what was happening was popping. The fire just kept popping. There was more and more that was getting damaged. I'm not a firefighter. I don't have a firefighter background. If you do know what that could have been, let me know in the comments below. There was popping. It just kept popping. The fire was spreading. I didn't want anybody to get hurt. So what I did was I activated my emergency lights. So we have these emergency lights here, similar to this. It's the handheld controller for lights and sirens. I've shown this in my other videos. Basically, this is really handy because it's you don't have to look down. You can just hold it. You don't have to reach over. It's right in the palm of your hand. And so I activated my emergency lights, and I blocked off the southbound side of the interstate. At that point, I exited my vehicle to attempt to locate the driver. I saw a bunch of bystanders that had pulled over on the northbound side, and so I approached the guardrail in the crossover area, in the median, and I said to them, "Who's the driver? Where's the driver?" And they just pointed to him, and all I could hear him doing was screaming. It was a blood-curdling scream. He was really shrieking, almost like a banshee or a yeti. It was a very distinct sound. He was just screaming more out of shock than anything. So I called him over. I advised him that I'm a trained EMT. I started to assess him and provide care. Basically, his injuries were mostly just abrasions, because he told me that he was driving the tractor trailer southbound and he dozed off. He fell asleep at the wheel, and the next thing he knew, his truck was rolling and he fell out of it and he slid on the pavement, and that's how he got these abrasions. So he had all these abrasions all over his body. He was also covered in diesel fuel, and it was just very messy. And so like I said, I kept him calm. I cared for him until the emergency responders arrived. So every time he kept looking over at the truck and kept hearing the popping, he started shrieking again. And so I had to divert his attention. I had to make sure that he was looking at me and not the truck. And I kept reminding him that he was still alive. That was the most important thing. Property can be replaced, lives cannot. And so that was really helpful for him in de-escalating him and helping him to realize that he was going to be okay. And at that point, so I was the first responder on scene. Like I said, I just happened to come upon the scene. The following first responders there was a local police officer that actually jumped on the highway because he was close by. So he arrived several minutes after me. After like I said, I had already secured the scene. I blocked off the southbound side of the interstate, and I had provided care to the driver. And then the next responders were the firefighters and an ambulance. So the ambulance arrived, they loaded him up, and they started to provide further care and transported him to the hospital immediately. So basically, at that point, the police officer was very pleased because I had already initiated that response to that emergency. And then the state troopers arrived, and so I provided my statement, and basically they carried the torch from there. So I just wanted to share that story. It's not something that you end up dealing with every day. And especially as an EMT, you may not have that same type of experience with, blocking off the scene of an accident. A lot of the times EMTs will respond with police officers, so police officers will take care of the scene control, securing the scene, making it safe, and then the EMTs will stage until it's safe, and then they'll go in. So I was very grateful for my dual background in security and EMS, because I was able to take control of that situation. I was able to block off the southbound side of the interstate and start providing medical care to the patient who was the driver. So that was just a very compelling story. It's not something that happened recently, but I just wanted to share it with you. I don't have any real video of it. I have the thumbnail that I'll put up for this video so you can see what the truck looked like that was on fire, and I hope that helps you to envision what that scene was like. It was such a huge fire, and it was just radiating heat throughout that whole area. And then what ended up happening later was the interstate obviously had to be shut down for hours while the firefighters put out the fire, and then the state police investigated the accident and what caused it and how it could have been prevented. So there was a lot of congestion in that area, unfortunately. But like I said, the most important part is that the driver survived, and he didn't have any major injuries that I could see upon my primary assessment. That was, like I said, it just seemed like abrasions, and he was also in shock from just the calamity of it. So I hope that helps you to have a glimpse of what it's like to work in emergency services. If you have any similar stories, let me know in the comments below. I really like to hear people's stories. I don't know if you noticed, but I try to comment on everybody's comments. I like to have that conversation going. I tend to avoid the negative comments, but even them I try to reply to in some way. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I look forward to speaking with you in the next video. I try to make them as often as I can, but it can be tough when you're working. So thank you everybody once again, and I will talk to you soon. Stay safe.